Assalamu alaikum guys, welcome back. Let's get into it.
If the Russian army on Friday, if Russian officers and soldiers had confessed that they had been ordered to deliberately shoot Ukrainian civilians who they had been ordered to starve already, they put a total siege on Ukraine for several months, they had been ordered to shoot dead those unarmed, starving civilians, and they had killed over 600 of them, including an 18-month girl who they shot in the chest. And then the next day, having seen those reports, people chat the death of the Russian army, would you honestly, and you really do need to answer honestly here, and I want to just say it from the heart, would you honestly regard that as an outrage? Or would you regard that as an obvious emotional response to an absolute unbelievable war crime?
Right, so you accept then that the rapper was talking about soldiers?
No, people call for the death of the Russian army all the time.
Do you believe...
So now, pause it there and said that Piers Morgan avoided the question. You know, he flipped it and mentioned a rapper. You know, so it's okay to call Russian army, if they did this action, what the Israeli did. Call it a genocide. You know, I believe Piers Morgan is a genocidal denier. You know, ICC will take the time analyzing all the footages and all the evidence to say that a genocide, but they haven't finished the investigation. You know, but the war crimes are happening now. It's off the scale. You know, you wouldn't even think about it. But look at the stage now.
Believe him 100%?
Yes.
Where is your heart? I believe that the people of the Arabic nations have a white heart. I believe you are good people. They are starving children. I tried to feed these children and they shot at me. For love, for humanity, for Islam, stand with your Islamic peoples. Please stand with your Islamic brothers and sisters. They welcomed me into their heart. I paid to go there as a nurse. They beat me in the desert for feeding starving Islamic children. Where is your qalb? Where is your heart? For the love of life and for the love of humanity. They're babies and women. The women are trying to feed their dying babies and their breasts are empty. Do you know what that smells like? Do you know what that sounds like? For humanity and for love, stand with your brothers and sisters in Palestine. I have never seen or experienced anything like it. Please, I will beg you, allow us to march to Palestine.
This gentleman, he was the long, you know, what is a long march going to Egypt? He was at the Rafah border. There's a long line. He was there, and he was at the Rafah border, and he's a British nurse, and he went over there. And today in England, they're cracking down hard at any Palestinian activist. Cracking down hard. You can get served up to 14 years. That's how hard it's getting. You know, for speaking up, no freedom of speech no more. You know, if you talk about a certain group or ethnic group or whatever you want to say, you know, they're going to come down hard on you, you know.
I want a national unifying politics which puts Britain first, not Pakistan, not Gaza, not any other foreign policy thing, Britain first.
Not Israel?
Well,
not Israel. The media's just been talking about Israel and the IDF for the last 4 or 5 days. That's what they talk about. You wouldn't think that high streets in this country are on the, are on the way down, or public services aren't doing well, or people are struggling with their bills. I hear so much about Israel.
Is that a fair point?
well, my personal view is Israel is a very close ally. Well, until recently, it was a very close ally of the United Kingdom. We should look after our allies. Unfortunately,
no, we shouldn't.
Unfortunately,
we should look after Britain.
Unfortunately, Israel no longer feels that we are a reliable ally,
cares?
thanks to the Labour government. I care. And
Why?
lots of Britain's Jews, a lot of British Jews in the country care about that.
The point of politicians in the UK should be to look out for the UK. That's it. That's something, by the way, that the right always used to say. And I used to look at them as somebody on the left going, you know what, I think they've got a point. And large parts of the right, Matthew, have just gone away from that because they just keep on talking about Israel and Tel Aviv and the IDF. They're making the IDF a protected characteristic. You know, need to go to the human rights, watchdog and maybe protect for, IDF lance corporals because they're being discriminated against by the UK, media. It's silly. You had it right. You had it right 5-10 years ago. Look after this country.
It's not silly to say Israel has a right to self-determination and to protect its own people.
Every country
and
does.
That Britons, particularly British Jews, also feel profoundly unsafe about the direction of travel in this country.
So hold on. You started this by saying British politicians shouldn't be talking about other countries. I say, nor Israel. And then you say, no, actually, no, they should be talking about Israel. You need to make your mind up.
I'm not saying they should be talking about Israel. I'm saying I have less of an issue with them talking about countries that are our allies than people who are actively trying to organise politics along sectarian lines, which is what this independent group is going to do. Let's be frank, it's going to be pro-Gaza, anti-Israel, anti-British state, anti-military, pro-Palestine action. It's going to be all the things that this country should not really have.
Do you know, in the last Parliament, do you know what percentage of Tory MPs were members of Conservative Friends of Israel?
How many?
70%.
The proof is in the pudding, Is everything all right? British first. But as soon as you mean in Israel, they're not Israel first. The switch, the flip it over. You can tell who's being paid. That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna leave it there.
Be friends of your own constituents.
An 83-year-old female priest being taken away from a demonstration, having been holding a placard. Is that really a good use of police time?
The law doesn't have an age limit, whether you're 18 or 80. If you're supporting prescribed organisations, then the law is going to be enforced. Officers, you could see, did it with great care and tried to preserve that person's dignity, but they're breaking a serious law. Palestine Action have, over the last 18 months, have to be careful what I say because there's cases coming to trial, but some really serious criminal offences that they're accused of. There are millions of pounds worth of damage on multiple occasions. There are assaults, there are weapons used. This is not about protest. This is about an organisation committing serious criminality, and obviously the Home Secretary was persuaded by the papers on her desk to prescribe them. That law's coming to force, and if people want to defy that law, then we
know that if this prescription goes through, people could face 14 years for simply being here in support of Palestine Action. I could go to jail. Everyone here could go to jail for wearing a badge, sharing a post, or calling for de-prescription. It's about fear. It's about silencing this beautiful, international, diverse movement that we have built, that has been marching month after month in our millions. We are all Palestinian in our hundreds, in our millions. And let me be clear, we are not going anywhere. We are going to use every tool we have in Parliament, in the courts, in the streets, in our workplaces to fight back. And we need to remember that this order can still be withdrawn. This government is known for making U-turns, so we need to ramp up the pressure. The courts haven't ruled on it yet, and the legal challenge is still live. This government ruling it through, it is a page out of the Trump playbook. It is authoritarian, plain and simple. And we have to ask every single MP, which side were you on? I'm going to quickly name every single MP that voted against this because I think you should know who they are. So these are the MPs who voted against prescribing Palestine Action. Ayub Khan, Bel Rabiro Adi, Sean Berry, Ellie Chowns, Carla Denia, Adrian Ramsey, Showkat Adam, Absana Begum, Jeremy Corbyn, Adnan Hussein, John McDonnell, Diane Abbott, Tahir Ali, Richard Bergen, Ian Byrne, Imran Hussein, Kim Johnson, Clive Lewis, Graham Morris, Nadia Whittam, Andrew George, Tom Gordon, Tessa Munt, Manuela Portugella, Al Pinkerton, Luke Taylor and Colin Eastwood. Only 26, I believe. Only 26. So I know where I stand. I stand with Palestine Action. I stand with the Palestinian people enduring a genocide. which this government is directly participating in.
And you, my man, what do you do?
I'm an investigator.
You're an investigator? What kind? Like for the police?
Like war crimes investigator.
You're a war crimes... Is that true? Is that true? Oh my God. Jeez, we really went up a notch, didn't we? What are you working on at the moment? What's your...
Ukraine.
Ukraine. You're working on investigating war crimes in Ukraine. Fuck me, man. I thought when you said infrastructure, it was like going to kill the energy, but fuck. And are you from the UK?
No.
No, where are you from?
From Israel.
You're from Israel? Great. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Of all the places you could have said, you're a war crimes investigator from Israel looking at Ukraine. I think the call may be coming from inside the house.
Israel is now being accused of drugging the population of Gaza because when they started opening bags of flour that has been distributed to Palestinians by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is funded and controlled by the US and Israel, they found pills inside of it, and they thought they would test the pills, and they found out it was oxycodone. And you would probably think that maybe somebody's just trying to smuggle things into Gaza, but then they tested the flour and found out that the pills were crushed up into the flour. This is not a joke. This has been tested by a pharmacist and a doctor. And if Israel want to accuse anybody of lying about this, saying maybe it's just propaganda that Hamas are trying to come up with, well, why don't you let journalists into Gaza? Why don't you let people independently report on this or test this to see if these are lies? If this is true, this is a war crime beyond belief in so many different ways. Oxycodone is responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths just in America. It is such a potent and strong opioid that something like this used against a population hidden in their food is beyond anything that I could have thought of that they would do. I still somehow find myself shocked. I see reports of videos of things happening, and I have unfortunately become almost numb to that in a way. Nothing shocks me anymore.
Alright guys, I'm going to end the video there, and if you're new to the channel, please like, share and subscribe. Assalamu alaikum.